Welcome to your chordal guitar lesson of the week, and today I'm going to show you how you can use first inversion chords and implement them into your own progressions. So let's start by studying the first inversion chord that I'm going to use on this lesson. Let's start by picking any major bar chord from the 6th string anywhere on the fretboard. Let's say from the 3rd fret. I'm going to play a bar chord from the 3rd fret of the 6th string and play a major bar chord like that. So this is a G major chord because my root note is a G, and I just build my major bar shape like this. If I want to create a first inversion chord from this point, I only have to start from my root here, go one string higher and one fret below. So from your starting point of your major bar chord, go one string higher and one fret below. So this note right here will be the starting point of my first inversion chord. Why? Because if we come back to the root note, which is G here, the relation between those two notes is a major third. So if I start my chord from the major third of my root note, it's going to be automatically the first inversion of my chord because this is the next note in the chord. When you play G major like this is exactly the next note. So from this note, I'm going to build a chord that is still going to be called G major, but it's just going to start from a different point. So once you have gone one string higher and one fret below, you can build this exact shape. So this is the pinky on the 5th, ring on the 4th, and middle finger on the 3rd in order. So this is the shape of the first inversion. And you can instantly notice that this is almost the same thing as my bar chord here, but with just a different bass note. It's either this or this. Just this starting note changes. So this is our first inversion chord. If you want to play it in spread triad form, the kinds of ambient chords that I show in my free mini course, you can just play this shape but remove your ring finger. So these are both G major chords but from different inversions. So now what can we do with this first inversion chord? Let's say that you have a chord progression that has a chord repeated in it. So for this example, I'm going to do 2 times a G chord and then C and D. So if you want to play spread triads in ambient music, if you stay too long on the G chord, it could get old after a while. Now that's long. That's when we can use our first inversion chord. In a last lesson, I have talked about harmonic rhythm, meaning how often you change the chords in your song. So you can hack the harmonic rhythm by having exactly the same chord, but using its inversion. This is the same chord, but it adds more movement to it. So if I play the same chord progression, but replacing the second G with an inversion of G, this is going to sound like this. If I speed up my harmonic rhythm, instead of having, you now have which is to my ears way more interesting because it adds more movement to the chord progression. So this is one way to use first inversion of chords. And ironically, the second way is to decrease the movement in your chord progression. Now we added movement, but you can also decrease the movement of your chord progression and having your chords as close as possible by using this chord. So let's pick a different chord progression. This is going to be one reminiscent of a Red Hot Chili Pepper song. I am so bad with names of songs, so please tell me in the comment section what is the name of this song. So basically the chord progression of this one is G, D, E minor, and C. So if we want to adapt this song and make it for ambient guitar, we could play it with spread triads. So we play exactly the same chords, but we don't play all the notes on it. So it could be like this. But now my problem with this chord progression is that it jumps a lot. It's like lots of jumps. It could be smoother a little bit. It could have a better voice leading. What I mean by voice leading is that all of the notes are going to move as less as possible to the next note from one chord to another, each individual note of your chord. So we could use the same trick that I showed you at the beginning of the video. We could start with our G chord, and instead of jumping to the D, which jumps a lot, each individual note does like, it jumps a lot. We could start from our D chord, which is the major bar shape that we have seen here, but now we are on D. And we use the same technique, one string higher and one fret below. And from this point, we can build our first inversion shape. So if we replace this D chord here with our first inversion, this is going to sound like this. And we could do it also with our C chord because it's the same shape. So same technique again. One string higher and one fret below. And we have our first inversion of our C chord. And you will instantly notice that there is almost no difference between the E minor chord and the first inversion of C. Just one note changes. So if I replace those two chords with the first inversion chords, we suddenly have this one. Instead of which jumps a lot, and both versions are equally as good. It's just what do you need in your song? If you want to do an ambient guitar arrangement, very subtle, maybe the smoother voice leading is going to help better to get the kind of mood that you want for your song instead of which jumps a lot. So these are two things that you can do with first inversion chords. You can add some movement to static chords, and you can reduce the movement of a chord progression that jump a lot. Imagine this is just one application of one type of inverted chord. and there are hundreds of inverted chords that you could find on your fretboard. So if you want to go further with it, click on the first link in the description box and learn more about my flagship online course about ambient guitar chords called the KORDZ Program. In many modules, we study different kinds of inversions, and I have exercises so you can work on your voice leading with your inversions and go way more in depth than what we have studied in this video right here. But nonetheless, I hope you really like this lesson. Click on the first link in the description box to learn more about it if you're interested about going further. Subscribe and turn on the notifications if you are new here or if you haven't turned on notifications so you can not miss my future videos and lessons. And until next time, my friends, au revoir.